In this video, I'm going to be talking about a methodology which I want to make available to me for future reference. This technique could be applied to yourself or to another person, and its ultimate goal or its ultimate intention is to heal or help along with the healing process, whether this is mental, psychological, and or emotional, and it has to do with mental, psychological, or emotional disturbances. It must also be said that the more tools, resources, and help you have, the higher the success rate will be towards recovery from suffering. So this means that you may have to adapt many different resources, look at many different ways of solving a problem and going about it in many different ways, because the more possibilities you have to fix a problem, the more likelihood it is, or the more likely it will be that you will be healed, right? Okay, first of all, you must download or buy the book You Can Heal Your Life by 𝘪𝘮𝘬. And if you don't want to read it, at least look at the chapter in it which talks about the psychosomatic. At the end of the book, there is also a glossary which presents all of the physical problems and body parts and what happens if they are disturbed, what it means psychologically and emotionally. 𝘪𝘮𝘬 offers affirmations as an alternative to combat these disturbances. Now, if you don't want to get the book, you at least need to get your hands on a trusted source which talks about the psychosomatic problems and what physical body problems mean or have to do with psychological problems, because it is important for you to have that foundation in order to do this. That is how mental problems are manifested in psychological problems, such as what a headache has to do with needing to adjust to a new situation and the ego, or how stomach problems have to do with how you digest new situations and or ideas. So once you get down the psychosomatic theory, then you can start. So you sit down with the person, and the first question that needs to be asked is, what are your problems? Now, these problems could be physical or mental, such as stomach problems or stress. It doesn't really matter, but you must write down all of the problems and separate them, right, into little subcategories, one from the other, while also answering more in-depth questions such as, when did this happen? Since when has it happened? Why do you think it has happened? In other words, you need as many details as possible as to understand the problems at hand, right? And you're going to kind of connect this with the psychosomatic notions, right? Especially if they're physical problems. The problems could be psychological, spiritual, physical, and or emotional. Now, if there are physical problems, then here is when you need to recommend that the person get a general medical checkup, because even though the physical problems may have mental causes, they are still physical, physiological, or biological problems that need to be tended to by a professional, by a doctor, by a physician, right? And remember, with higher resources, the higher the likelihood of curing and healing. So you're gonna wanna tackle this from obviously a mental, psychological perspective, but also a physiological, medical perspective, right? And any other ones that you can get your hands on, such as going to NA meetings, going to AA meetings, journaling, watching videos, reading books on the topics, right, that you're having problems with. So now you have the problems broken down and separated, right, written down. And of course, this first session should be about 1 to 2 hours, right? So what you need to do after this session, after the person talks about their problems, is you need to analyze the problems from the first session according to the psychosomatic causes, and you need to try to find correlations among all of the problems or characteristics of a problem in case it is only one problem. You organize the notes, you rewrite them considering the psychosomatic causes. So when you rewrite them, now you need to consider that and also write down the psychosomatic causes, and you rearrange everything connecting the dots, right? This is the second step. So now you make sure that the person also goes and gets a medical checkup to see if there are problems or things wrong with their body, which they do not know about. They must get medical tests done with blood and urine samples, and eventually go to see maybe a cheap but private doctor with the results, right? So they don't go and see the doctor, right? So then they have to go, that's just wasting time. If they first see a doctor, then they get the checkup, and then they go back to see the doctor. Just go get the tests done and then go see the doctor, right? Just one time, and have the doctor maybe give a treatment. So yeah, they may eventually have to have medical treatment or start medical treatment. Now, the results must include everything to detect and or assess different aspects of health, including blood composition, kidney function, thyroid function, liver function, and lipid levels. So this means they must evaluate complete blood count, CBC, urea, creatinine, glucose, thyroid profile, which is TSH, total and free T4 and T3, liver function tests, cholesterol, and triglycerides. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that, but yeah, triglycerides, right? So the person must go get this checkup done before the next time they come and see you, and preferably they could even go see the doctor and maybe start their treatment as soon as possible, right? The next step involves preparing a set of questions that will allow everybody to dive deeper into the problems. So now, based on the correlations you have seemed to find among all of the various factors of the problems or problem, you can now formulate 4 to 6 questions that will cause the person to open up more, and that way you will be able to go deeper into the problem or problems. These questions should be made using your intuition, but also being careful not to judge the person. This goes without saying, but during the sessions, the person must remain curious and question the other person in order to dig deeper into the problems. This is from the first session. The person that is listening must listen attentively, take notes, ask questions, and come back to things previously said while also taking more notes. Now, once you have your set of questions, you can sit down with the person once again, and this is going to require some time because the answers to the questions must be handwritten. This is so the person is able to really think about what they are going to say. If at any moment you have trouble formulating the questions, just remember that they should include idealism and paradoxical elements, such as what would your ideal life look like then if you didn't have the problem, for instance, or how would your life be different if you didn't have this problem, for example. Idealism and paradoxes help us think about alternatives, hence they make us reach healing faster. You should give the person time to think and write. This second session might become more intense, so be prepared for this. If the person already has the medical results and or is undertaking treatment, then also have them share with you the medical findings and or treatment, and make sure to include all of this into your notes. This second session might take longer due to all of the sub-steps required, such as them having to take time to read the questions and answer them handwritten. So make sure you at least have a good 3 to 4 hours. As soon as the person is done answering the questions, then together you can proceed to go over each question and answer as you dig in deeper. Let the conversation flow, listen, show empathy, and take notes while curiously questioning the person on what they are saying in order for them to elaborate more. Try to tie the session to the first one. In this session, expect more information to be unearthed and uncovered, such as specific names, dates, settings, events, etc. The person can start to come to epiphanies or become aware of certain things that they were not aware before or during this session. Typically, this is a very active, dynamic, and productive session. The last step is the most complicated. Now you need to put together all of your notes, including the ones from the first session, and once again, using your intuition and knowledge, connect the dots, rewrite, reorganize, and rearrange the ideas. This may take some time and it may be tiresome, so don't forget to take a break in order to do this properly. It is recommended that in this step, you make some sort of report where you write down all of your findings, ideas, opinions, etc. You will make a final set of questions for the final session. The only thing is that this set of particular questions must have a mitigation and or coping mechanism strategies, such as detecting a specific skill or ability the person has, which they do not apply to this problematic area of their life, but they could, since they use it in other areas, such as a person that has a problem with anger, so they are intolerant, yet when they are with their boss, they are very tolerant, for example. Another characteristic that these last questions should also have is the integration of the shadow, which means that that part of themselves that is hidden or problematic needs to find a way to manifest itself and to integrate itself. This is like having two yous inside of you and both of them are fighting. So the idea is to try to discuss with yourself ways to integrate that part of yourself into yourself. Jordan Peterson talks of mounting a defense against yourself as well as for yourself, of course. You must study everything one last time, connect the dots, and formulate this last set of 4 to 6 questions with coping mechanisms and or mitigation strategies, as well as shadow integration qualities or characteristics in the questions. The final session will be pretty much like the second one, where the person will be given the set of questions at the beginning and will be given time to answer them handwritten. Now, you can decide whether they will be answered handwritten or you can just talk about them, which could make it easier time-wise. During the session, you must take notes, listen, ask questions, and show understanding, just as you have before. The session could last anywhere between 2 to 3 hours. Towards the end, you must ask for feedback and then speak of your opinions and ideas without being harsh or judgmental, and while still listening and using empathy and tolerance. You must now connect with the person, show them you are only human, not perfect, and that you also have problems. The feedback session at the end may be brutal for you, but you need to go through with it because it is part of the healing process. You simply ask the person what they thought about you and the way you handled the session, and this will help you for any future endeavor you may have. And sharing your true opinion will, in a way, take you away from that role of robotically asking questions to get to know more, and will help you connect with the person to give a sense of conclusion to the activity. So in summary, you need to first ask what the problem is, have the person talk about it while you take notes. Next, you need to tell the person to get a medical checkup while you analyze your notes, connect the dots, link the psychosomatic semantics, and formulate a set of questions for the second session. Then in the second session, have the person answer the questions, discuss the answers, and take notes again. Finally, the most complicated part, analyze everything one last time, sit down for a third session with a new set of questions, discuss and receive feedback at the end while giving your humanistic input on things. And once again, this video has as its purpose to inform my future self of the way of thinking during this period of time in my life and nothing else. So that's all I got for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, peace.